gray, dreary December Chicago day, and as per my usual after school routine, I donned a neon yellow apron and prepared to sell ongoers of the Northbrook Court Mall Lego sets. Now, today was a particularly special day, as it was the first Tuesday of the month. And on the first Tuesday, a group of community volunteers bring members of the adult mentally handicapped community to the mall, let them shop around, have fun, and it's always a really cool experience. So, in walks a young man, maybe in his mid 20s, who is dressed up for his big day out. I'm talking button down shirt, slacks, the whole shebang. And turns out that he really likes Spider Man. At this point, the animated film Into the Spider Verse had just come out, so I was showing him hints from that. We were having a great discussion, and everything was pretty normal until we got to the register. See, after I finished ringing him up, he leans in all the way across the counter and whispers in my ear, "Can I tell you a secret?" I was pretty confused, but naturally curious. So I said, "Of course you can. It's safe with me." What happened next kind of caught me off guard. He said, "I am Spider Man," jumped back, and in a violent maneuver ripped off his clothes to reveal a Spider Man muscle suit underneath. Needless to say, you meet a lot of interesting characters working retail. So, when I'm asked about my experience as a whole, the analogy that I tend to like to use is that much like Clint Eastwood, one can meet the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, in other words, for every heartwarming story like the one you just heard, there are in fact equally horrifying ones, such as having a grown man in front of his children, mind you, look me in the eyes and say, "Dude, never have kids. It is so overrated." So, anyways, I was at the Northbrook Court Lego store for about a year and a half leading up to leaving for college. And during that time, seldom did the events of a single week affect me in the way that those from the second week of June of 2019 did. From that week, I'd like to share with you the story of two shifts of completely polar opposite interactions, but that had a profound impact on my understanding of judgment. It's important for me to establish for context here that my mall is surrounded by well-off neighborhoods. As a result, in addition to the copy-paste Yankee Candle and Foot Locker you'll find at every mall in America, we have stores like Louis Vuitton, Tory Burch, Burberry. You get the idea. As a result, my coworkers would always joke about a certain kind of customer who'd come along once in a blue moon with a certain disdain, higher than thou attitude towards retail workers. I think my coworker Liz said it best. Those people. Walking into the store with a latte in one hand, a designer jacket on, and a haircut that you half expect to personally ask to speak to your manager. I had never encountered one of them before, but so I was told sharks lurked in the water. Fast forward to June. In walk a mother and a daughter to the store. The mother tells the daughter to pick out anything she wants, so of course she sprints across the yellow linoleum floor towards our Disney section. The mom does something interesting. She stays at the front of the store, on her phone. But then it hits me. Uh-oh. Latte? Designer clothes? Bad haircut? I brush it off and go about my business. Go and talk to the little girl. After an intense discussion of princess pros and cons, we settle on Rapunzel as the princess of the day. She picks out a kit. Kit makes it to mom, and eventually we get back up to the register. At this point, mom still has not said a single word to me, let alone made eye contact. So I try and break the ice. "How's your day going?" I do not get dignified with a response. I figure, whatever, keep it going. So after I finish ringing them up, I turned to go and help the next customer, and I hear the loudest, most melodramatic sigh I have ever heard in my entire life as I watch this woman gesture to me, looking at her daughter, and say, "Sweetie, that is why you go to college. You don't want to end up like that." I was completely flabbergasted. I had dealt with rude customers before, but oh my heavens, nothing like that. It was true. Monsters did exist. It was ugly. So after 3 days stewing on that, I stood up in my fiery yellow apron again and take on the sales floor. It was later, I was cleaning up, and a woman walks up to me. Latte, designer clothing, with a haircut. The alarm starts sounding off in my head. I'd worked there almost a year, and now I was getting two of them in a week. She said, "Excuse me, are you a student?" And I answered with my best retail smile that I was. But then she asked me to give advice to her children. That one caught me off guard after what had happened just about 3 days earlier. But it led me to realize something. Judgment was the ugly thing. It's a nasty spiral and an easy one to fall into at that. The first woman had judged me harshly. As a result, I judged her and another person. That judgment turned out to be completely misconstrued. And as I learned during my first shift, I really didn't enjoy being judged, and I'm guessing most people don't either. So, in a week of cycling judgments, I realized that the only person I could really judge was myself, because I had fallen prey to that cycle, if only even briefly. And I came out realizing that it's no fun to be judged. By virtue of the golden rule, if you don't want to be judged, it's not fair to be judging others. And people tend to be able to defy expectations. I'd like to leave you all with the words of Herman Hesse. It's not for me to judge another man's life. I choose, I spurn, I learn, purely for myself and myself alone. Thank you.